What day is it?
It's January 5th. Today is National Bird Day.
Oh, bird? Bird is the word?
I love birds.
Birds? Yeah, birds.
Birds.
You like watching birds? Yeah, you do, don't you?
National Bird Day.
Any feathered friend is a friend of mine.
Oh.
Go. Spread your wings and fly.
It's showtime.
Wake up! All right.
I like birds.
I like birds.
Birds are funny.
Birds are the word. That might have been my favorite Family Guy episode of all time.
Right.
Yes, I watch Family Guy. Morning, Doc.
Morning.
Morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, I see what you did.
I like
there.
it.
All right, let's see. We'll get through this real quick. The Round Table, brought to you each and every weekday morning by our buddies out at SAU Tech, because they got class. Classy class. Go to sautech.edu, click on the Get Started page. You're going to find just about everything you need to get started in college at SAU Tech there. Information about admissions, advising, testing, paying for college, and more. And if you need to talk to somebody, you can do that too. Just look for the Get in Touch section. SAU Tech, go Rockets. St. John's Place in Fort Hyson, Washington Nursing and Rehab in Camden, the choice for all of your rehabilitation and long-term care needs, providing award-winning short-term therapy services too. Reach them online, stjohnsplaceofarkansas.com, washingtonnursing.com. First Choice Family Care, 476 Hospital Drive in Camden. That's Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, tell us a little bit about First Choice Family Care.
We are a small clinic. I'm the only provider. We're looking to hire somebody here very soon. But for right now, you got me. I do full spectrum family medicine. I've already delivered a baby today.
Talk about an overachiever, okay?
Yeah. And
What did you do this morning, Doc?
Made coffee.
Uh-huh. You needed to use her as a role model.
And I still got here on time.
And I put clothes on.
I did that too. And I made coffee. And I
fed-
got 2 kids ready
I fed
and
the
got
dog
them to
and
school.
the cats, and I let the dog out.
Yeah, we did that too. We got 2 dogs, big dogs. See?
See? You just need to get up earlier, Doc Bryce.
I got up at 4.
See, not early enough. What time did you have to get up this morning to go deliver a baby and everything else?
That
Dr.
baby was
Smith?
born like at 1:30 this morning.
1:30 this morning.
Oh,
right.
she's napped since then. Don't let her fool you.
I did go back to sleep.
Yeah, she's.
But then I still had to wake up and get all the normal stuff.
Push. Okay. So,
Good night.
all right. First Choice Family Care. You can get you a new patient packet at myfirstchoicecare.com and then call them up. 870-800-9002.
Yep.
All right. We are brought to you by OCMC's Chemical Dependency Unit. They'd like me to remind you that you're not alone, man. Addiction's a tough thing to get past. You can get through it. You just got to want it. And if you want it and you need professional help, these guys are the very best in the business.
And if you've wondered if you need it, if that thought has crossed your mind, talk to your doctor. It's super easy. We are bound by privacy laws. It is
nothing to be ashamed
It's a felony to divulge your medical information. So, this center is also bound by those same privacy laws. Like if you're embarrassed that you're afraid people are going to like find out, that's illegal. It's not worth me losing my license. I'm not talking about your medical information with people that aren't like my immediate medical team caring for you.
Well, I don't want anybody to see my car out in front of the clinic, man.
Well, that's why you can start the conversation with your doctor. You can call the phone number.
There you go. 1-800-232-1289 or locally 836-1289. We're brought to you by Mitch Lowe's Body Shop for auto body and collision repair framework, glasswork, and refinishing. Accidents happen. So if you put it in the ditch, just call
Jerry.
Jerry.
Yeah, okay. Hey, call Maria, man. She's feeling left out anymore.
Yeah, but you call Maria when she picks up and says Mitch Lowe's Body. You can, as soon as she answers, you can go, Jerry.
Oh, she's going to love that. Just dial 837-2560. We are brought to you by Everybody's Antiques down in El Dorado. Corner of Bradley and West Hillsboro. They've got 120 booths, 31,000 square feet to explore, over 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturdays. Delivery is available. Shop them online, everybodysantiques.com. Call them, 870-875-1444, or just walk your happy self in the door. Corner of Bradley and West Hillsboro, it's Everybody's Antiques in El Dorado. We are brought to you by Stories Floor and Carpet. They sell cleaning products for your flooring, too. 6-foot wide boat carpet is in stock.
All right.
Yeah, and if you want to know how that looks in your bathroom, take a picture of your bathroom and visualize.
Visualize.
They've got a variety of flooring in stock if you need it in a hurry. Storiesfloor.com. Call 870-862-9446 and by Elite Fitness Club. They've got a New Year's special. All sign-up fees for new members are $23. That's normally $50 for the rest of January. You can sign up in person or online. Visit elitefitnessclub.gymmasteronline.com/sign-up ... Call them 870-231-3880. All right, let's go ahead and get through this break so that we can get right back. We've got some questions for the doctor. Stay tuned. 7:34 South Arkansas, 35 degrees, and it's time for Ask the Doctor, featuring Dr. Jera Smith.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Smith. We had a slew of questions come in for you over the last week. I guess people were off and didn't have anything better to do, so there's like, well, let's get some free medical advice.
Yeah, that's okay.
So, now we can't give medical advice, though.
We are talking about like general medical principles. The person that should be giving you medical advice is your doctor.
Always see your doctor. In case of emergency, dial 911.
What's that number again?
911.
If you ever forget, call 411.
Yes, they'll let you know.
Yeah. Call information and ask them, what's that number again for 911?
Hey, can you still dial 0 for an operator?
I don't think so.
Anybody ever tried that lately?
I don't know.
I haven't tried that in years.
Just something that popped into my head. Okay, so good morning, Dr.
Good
Smith.
morning.
Already delivered a baby this morning. Was it a boy or a girl?
It was a girl. It was a girl.
She's got to think about it,
Well, I delivered one yesterday, too.
She's like, wait a minute, did that have a stem on it or not? So
At 1-something in the morning, I was just like, baby's doing good, bye.
You know what? It's breathing. Here you go, Mom.
It's screaming. That baby was screaming. She had a lot of things to say.
Well, congratulations to the new mother and father.
Yeah.
And, Dr. Smith does more than just deliver babies.
I've already delivered 4 babies this week.
This week?
This week.
You people need to cut it out.
So, yeah. But that kind of leads us into our first question. It says that my daughter is pregnant and wants to have a natural childbirth at home. What are the dangers and how do I help her prepare?
Now, what is natural childbirth?
I think that that's a weird question because to me,
well, I mean, it's different for different people, right?
As a person that's been through childbirth, I would say it's unnatural to want to feel that pain. But what they're meaning is that natural childbirth is going to be a vaginal. What I think of as natural is a vaginal delivery without pain medications.
So no saddle block, no Demerol,
nothing.
Oh, you in for some bad times.
Well, and I think it's a fine goal, especially if you've had babies before and they were healthy and your pregnancy's healthy. But it's still super important to have a certified nurse midwife. I'm not against home birth. I personally did not make that choice, but it's super important to make a decision based on good information because it's fine to want, I think a lot of times right now, people are wanting an experience. They want to have those home birth pictures that their friend had or whatnot.
Yeah, Instagram this. Okay. No, right. I don't think so.
Some people are looking for an experience. They want a specific way that it happens. They want control over that situation. And the fact being that's fine. Some people choose that. And most of the time it's fine. right? But when you look at the numbers, home births are maybe 1% of births. So for every, I'm going to have to extrapolate this a little bit. For every 1,000 people, 10 of those are going to give birth at home. And then a quarter of those are either unplanned, things went really fast and they didn't make it to the hospital. And if you've had one of those, then you're probably safer to have a child at home.
Well, at least you already know what you're in for.
And then 2, or they're unattended. So there wasn't anyone there with the medical education to receive that infant or take care of the mother.
Now, how you catch it? Anyway, I don't want to know.
Most women are laying in their own bed. And I hope you get a new mattress after that, or you had like one of those wet, like the ones that if you pee, it doesn't get all the way through.
Some sort of a protection pad, okay?
So when you see a mattress on the side of the road with a big old red spot, no. And just for a little bit of history, back in the 1900s, most babies were born at home, obviously, right? And 100 babies died for every 1,000 babies. So that's a 1 in 10 risk. That's crazy to me.
That is crazy.
A 1 in 10 that you might lose your infant. We have got that down through medical science as up to, like, just for an easy comparison, I found good numbers for 97. As far as, over 30 years ago, that number was down to 7 out of 1,000 from 100.
See, and now it's more
like
an amazing breakthrough.
Yes. And now it's between, depending on like different sources, it's going to be probably around 2 to 3%. So it's even down further than that. 2 to 3 per. So 1,000.
The advances in medical science have really come a long way since, say, the Wild West.
Yes. And it really reduces that risk.
We no longer have to chew on rawhide while giving birth or
right.
bite on a bullet or anything like that.
And if you want natural, you can do that safely in a hospital setting. We can change some stuff around. You know?
The last time that my last grandchild that was born, the mom's room was actually set up, pretty doggone nice.
Yeah. They're labor rooms. They have a table and chairs. We have mobile monitors. You can walk around. We've got a lot of things to try to make it more comfortable for you. And there's ways that you and your doctor can talk about having a more natural experience, but being in that setting. Because when what I want people to consider about home birth is, what are you wanting? What's the benefit? And that's that you had your birth at home and you had that experience that you wanted. What's the risk? Because that's where the rubber meets the road, right? And that's that infant mortality is 2 to 3 times higher. That means babies die 2 to 3 times more often at home when there's not a medical professional there.
Now, if their heart's just set on doing this, all right, what do they need to do to prepare?
You need a certified nurse midwife, and they recommend that you live within 15 minutes of the hospital. And that's something else that I would get to here is that our decision to incision time. So if you came in and that baby's heart rate was there and then it stopped, there's going to be a certain amount of time it takes me to be able to get you back to surgery, because we don't keep a surgery crew there at night, right? And so you go to a big place like Baptist, Little Rock, you live within 10 minutes of that place, you show up at those doors, they decide C-section, and your belly's being cut open within 5 minutes. And that is the decision to incision time. I don't have those resources here. And so it's even more dangerous to have home birth away from those larger cities with those quicker decision to incision times. And that's going to be any place that doesn't have overnight OR operations. And that's going to be El Dorado here. We don't have that. We call our people in, and even if they hurry, that's time being wasted because it took you time to get to the hospital.
Absolutely.
It took you time to make the decision. And if you called an ambulance, it took time for the ambulance to get to you after you made that decision, and then for that ambulance to get back to the hospital, and then for us to all get there, and all that time, you would be amazed how long 5 minutes feels like when you are in a bad situation.
Absolutely.
And I had a bad situation this week and we tried everything. That mother had no intention of going through anything that she went through. And I just don't understand why someone would accept that risk. Your baby has a 2 to 3 times more likely to die than if you were to deliver at the hospital. And that's a risk that has no reasonable explanation.
Okay.
And so to me, you do you. My job is to empower you, but I will tell you that in 2019, 21,000 babies died at birth. And if you tell me that's 2 to 3 times more with home birth, only 1% of those, you're seeing a lot more percentage of that's you're just more likely to have bad outcome. And that's just the baby's outcome. Like women in the hospital, hemorrhage is very common, right? And when you're in the hospital, I have a plan A and a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. I got a big old long list of things that we go through real quick to make your body stop bleeding. And that uterus gets more than 1 liter of blood flow a minute. It will kill you if you bleed out.
Right.
You can very quickly die of blood loss after childbirth. And so having that recognized and the appropriate interventions is uber, uber important. And so the risks are very high. And what is the benefit? That you had the experience that you wanted. And so, in comparison, that you're going to, most likely you're still going to have the experience that you wanted. Right?
Well, trust me.
Most likely.
You're going to have an experience.
But that's a lottery ticket I don't want to purchase. Like the fact that if I can make that less likely, I would like to. Because to me, anytime you make a decision, it should be based on information, not how you feel. Not because you want this warm, fuzzy experience, right? I would go through literally anything to protect my children. So even if that I was uncomfortable in a bed or there was weird people coming to check my vital signs, like I would go through my experience to keep my children safe. And I would urge any mother to consider that.
All right. Well, what else we got?
Is red wine healthy?
Yeah.
So it all depends on how much red wine.
Well, I stop at a box.
It's like a juice box.
Yeah, only adult size.
Adult size juice box. So how much is it? And so that's moderate drinking is defined as follows: 1 drink per day for females and 2 drinks per day for males.
All right. But they can't be like 48-ounce drinks.
No, those are like when you're at the bar and the bartender pours you what looks like a teeny tiny glass of wine. That's a normal amount of wine.
No. See, I've got my own wine glass. Well, to be fair, it's a goblet, but
Exactly. It fits the whole bottle of one.
Well,
and then
yeah.
you just had one glass.
Yeah, I've recently just decided to cut to the chase and use a straw, so we just drop it in the bottle.
So in general, when you choose to have moderate drinking, less than 1 unit per day, and that's just across the board. So that means not every day do you have a drink. There are beneficial effects on cardiovascular risk reduction. So it can help to protect from heart disease. But you also have to balance that with the fact that some people, it's just like me and Netflix. If I start watching one show, I'm going to end up watching a whole season. I have no self-control on it, right? So I just don't start that show. And then we don't go there. And so some people are like that with alcohol. You drink 1 drink and then 1 drink became 4, right? And you didn't intend to drink that much. That's a sign that maybe it's not for you. It's not worth the risk, right? If it's going to endanger your health, just don't start that. And you can have that conversation with your doctor, whatnot. I remember talking to somebody and they were saying that their doctor had told them to drink wine. And I didn't even ask who this person's doctor was because I didn't want to know. And because I'm fairly certain that doctor did not say this, but, and then he ended up telling me that he said 3 or 4 glasses a day is like, No. No, that doctor did not say to drink a bottle of wine a day.
Oh, come on, Doc. This is good. Here, you want a glass too?
And so I do think moderate or less than moderate drinking is beneficial. It can help protect you from heart disease, but you have to balance that with the weight of excessive drinking. And if you have a history that you can acknowledge that many times you drink to excess, if one a day is our goal and you laugh at that number, it's probably not a good.
Isn't that cute, rookie? So, yes, red wine can have benefits,
but not when it puts your health at risk. So it's not worth trying to get the benefits out of it. It's like having a credit card. They're not helpful if you don't pay them off every month. And if you just max them out, then stop having credit cards, right? Like don't do it. If it's not good for you, just don't do it. So if you find that you can't control the drinking, you feel like you can, but when push comes to shove, you drank more than you planned on, or you find that you drank when you didn't plan on it, right? Oh, I'm going to go out with so I'm not going to drink. And then you drink a whole bottle of wine. Like,
yeah, it's
not for your heart.
It's been real.
And it's fine to try to protect our heart, but you also have another organ called the liver.
Well, that kind of brings us into the next question.
Yeah. Are there treatments for cirrhosis of the liver? There are.
And believe it or not, these came from two different people. So,
one had tried the wine, right?
Yeah. And then the other's like, oh, wow, man. Hey, maybe they're partners.
Maybe. Cirrhosis is important, and why you have that cirrhosis is the most important. The liver has incredible regeneration properties, but you have to stop the injury. And so what caused, and cirrhosis just means scarring of the liver more or less, to where it can't perform its natural functions, which is really getting rid of a lot of toxins out of the body and creating bile for your digestion. And so the liver has a lot of properties in monitoring your GI tract and helping your overall metabolism and such. And so it all depends on what caused the damage and stopping that damage from continuing and catching it early in order that your liver can recover. It all depends on the stage of cirrhosis of the liver as to what needs to be done. And at some point it ends in liver transplant.
All right, no ands, ifs, or buts about it.
There's not specific treatment for that stage, but a lot of people, if you can stop the injury, even when you have cirrhosis, you can keep it from getting worse, right? And then you don't ever need anything. But the key thing is stopping the injury. So making sure that you've been tested for hepatitis, because anyone between the ages of 18 and 65 should have been checked once. And I would just offer that. If you've never been checked, let's check. If you have any risk factors, let's check again, right? So and there's lots of risk factors for hepatitis, and we're talking about hepatitis C or B can cause cirrhosis. C is more common, and it's very treatable. But like I said, catching it and treating it, so it doesn't continue to cause the injury. Drinking is one of the highest causes for cirrhosis. So if you have problems drinking, you need to get help for that. And that's how you treat your liver, to protect your liver. Another cause is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NASH. Steatohepatosis is the medical term, which means your liver is still having injury that we would see from alcohol. So we named it non-alcoholic because it's actually from excessive fat accumulation in the liver, damaging its ability to function. And so, and that has no specific treatment. Losing weight is most important, but there actually is a treatment on the horizon. This year, Ozempic is supposed to be approved for treatment of non-alcoholic steatohepatosis, or NASH, that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And so, and there's really some good data. We've never had a treatment for NASH before. So I think that that's very promising, but it's not available yet. I will say that if you have private insurance, I tend to be able to get Ozempic covered for diabetes or pre-diabetes, and you can get them covered for that, and it will still help with the fatty liver disease if you have fatty liver. So if you have fatty liver, you have private insurance, and you have type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, you can talk to your doctor about Ozempic now, because I do anticipate that that's going to be covered, but it's already approved for diabetes and pre-diabetes. So if you're not on that type of medicine, it's time, because we got to help that liver. And you really want to change how you eat and exercise, because if you want your liver around, and believe me, your body does, you can't survive without that, then treat it right. We've got to make healthier choices.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We got a couple left, right?
Yeah, but I think they're fairly short. I recently had a cold or flu or some sort of bug. My question is, how do I know when it's time to go to the doctor? The first thing is going to be how good is your baseline health, right? If you have lung disease like asthma or COPD or heart disease or diabetes, I probably would at least want to talk about it, right? But if you're fairly healthy and you're sick, you do not have to see the doctor right away. There are some things I would expect to be abnormal. And so when you get some sort of bug, 98% of the time it's a virus. Viruses tend to hit you like a semi-truck. If you're going to have a fever, you have it initially, right? It's part of your prodrome. You start feeling kind of wonky, like just a little tired, fatigued, and then the next day you have a fever. Your nose is snotty, you're coughing, whatever you might have a rash. If you have a rash, I would recommend you have a doctor look at that rash. Rash associated with illness, right? That's not a rash you've had before. So if it's your eczema and you know it's your eczema, that doesn't count. But that virus should smack you all at once, right? If you're going to have GI symptoms, it should set in within the first couple days. Sometimes diarrhea takes a couple days because the virus starts up here and has to work its way to the other end of that tube. So sometimes the diarrhea may take a day or two lagging behind, but diarrhea is super common. Cough, congestion, all those things, even having like a little pinkness to the eyes and discharge, because some viruses can hit the eyes as well. All those things can be normal. Treat your symptoms, stay hydrated. If you're peeing every 4 to 6 hours and you're able to stay hydrated to where you're making tears and saliva and you feel okay, well, you can watch it for a few days. Those big symptoms don't tend to last more than 3 to 5 days. So if you have fever that's lasting more than 3 days, we should probably lay eyes on you, look in, your ear holes and your nose holes and your throat hole.
Check your holes. Yeah, I got you.
And then, and those were all very medical terms, by the way.
Yes. Well, climbing up your butt with a microscope.
Well, good news is we don't have to look there for fever most of the time. That's
not what they said the last time they busted out that thermometer. Anyway.
So if you have fever that lasts more than 3 to 5 days, you're having trouble maintaining your hydration status, those are all good reasons to see the doctor. If you have it coming out of both ends, you're throwing up and having diarrhea, that can be really hard to stay hydrated. And so it may be worth just seeing someone and being prescribed something like Zofran so that you can at least block one of the ends of the tube to where you're not having to hold the trash can and sit on the toilet. Because technically any way that we slow down the GI tract and viral illness, it will prolong the illness. But I don't care if I add a day if I'm not throwing up.
Sure.
I'll just stay hydrated and we'll get on through.
Anything to quit calling Ralph. Okay? I'm just saying.
So I think that those are the biggest things. And so if you have new symptoms that set in, say you're starting to feel better, then all of a sudden you're getting short of breath or your fever comes back or you didn't have a fever and now you have a fever, those are worth being evaluated because viruses hit you like a semi. Once you start feeling back to normal, you should continue to feel back to normal, right? If you start not feeling normal, it may mean that a bacteria set up while your immune system was distracted with that virus. So new symptoms after that fact, or if you feel short of breath, especially at rest. So if you get up, move around and you're coughing, that can be normal, but you shouldn't be feeling short of breath at small distances or sitting. And like I said, if you have any history of lung disease, you really need somebody to evaluate you.
Okay.
All right. And then natural remedies for stress and anxiety. There's some really great ones.
Coffee.
No, that makes it worse.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Java.
It makes it
bourbon.
Worse. I don't think that's a very great one. And I don't think that's natural. I would argue that's not natural. You're not going to go find that on a plant.
It naturally comes out of a bottle.
You're not going to go find that on a plant. If it was the end of the world, then all the distilleries were destroyed.
Natural remedies to help relieve stress and anxiety.
One, I would really encourage when you're having anxiety or depression a lot of times we forego self-care in an effort to save time or because our energy doesn't allow it. And I will tell you, one of the most important things is getting to bed on time, drinking plenty of water. Like, it may sound simple, eating regular meals throughout the day, because when your sugar fluctuates, it's going to make that feel worse. If you're already feeling anxious and your sugar's going low because you haven't ate regular, you're going to feel worse than if you kept your sugars more regular. Exercise works as good as placebo. So if I told you I had a pill that could help you lose weight, reduce your risk for cancer, reduce your risk for dying today, like people that exercise are less likely to die any given day of the week, that would also help prevent anxiety and depression, would you take that pill?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I take Valium regularly. I mean,
weight loss, mood control, they sleep better, less likely to get cancer, less likely to die. All of those things come from exercise, and that's a very natural thing. And it doesn't have to be like, I'm, at the gym for 5 hours or whatever. It just anything. What you can do today is the step you should take. All right. If you never exercise, all of a sudden thinking you're going to go to the gym for an hour 3 times a week is not a reasonable goal. And you will be done with that goal by February. So I do not like New Year's resolution. Unless you're going to take teeny tiny steps. And I think those should be done more than once a year. But if your goal is to become more active, start with just walking for 5 minutes after lunch. Your big meals, walk for 5 minutes after dinner, right? Because walking after your meal will actually aid your digestion, reduce your sugars naturally, and exercise helps with mood. So it will help naturally make you feel better. I try to decrease my screen time. Studies show that the more time you spend on social media, the more depressed and anxious you feel. So that's a natural way to stop that.
God knows that's true.
Talk to a therapist. So many people, we value that as like, no, I'm tough and I just marched through it, right? And it's like, okay, good. It's just like home birth, natural birth. Okay, here's your trophy for having a birth without an epidural. You don't get one. You get a screaming baby just like the rest of us, right? So it's like trying to march through life without getting treatment for your mental health. And I don't even like calling it mental health. This is brain health. This is part of your physical health. Trying to just push through it, you don't get a trophy for that. There's no benefit. And if anything, there's risk. There's a lot of studies to show that when you treat yourself well, you can be more available to help parent your children and grandchildren better, instead of perpetuating cycles of abuse and trauma that you were exposed to. Just because you fought through it doesn't mean it's a good thing. Like, you can go with a therapist and go through that. And then that's behavioral therapy. That's you working on your own brain stuff. I would say that's the most natural of all. And there are supplements like St. John's wort, but if you're considering taking something like that, the problem with supplements is that how they release that, each capsule or tablet may be different from another tablet. So that day you got more and this day you got less. That's not helpful. And then also how you digest that may be different from other people. And I would argue that if you're considering doing something like that, that's fine. It raises your serotonin levels, just like SSRIs. But why not do that with a medication that's more predictable, that has the same amount of that medicine in every single tablet, while we do some therapy and try to do some of these healthier lifestyle changes and work toward a better place, that maybe we don't have to be on this medicine forever, right? So there are lots of healthy things. And then in the moment, there's a couple of things you can do in the moment when you feel big feelings and you feel like yelling at somebody or, like overwhelmed. When you feel big feelings in the moment, you can do what's called box breathing. And it tells your animal brain, our animal brains can't identify stress that's a tiger chasing us or my boss yelling at me, right? It can't distinguish those two things. So when your boss is yelling at you, it's dumping hormones in your bloodstream like a tiger's chasing you, right? And that does not help you feel better. I will tell you that. Your heart rate, you freak out, right? Your animal instincts take over. You feel out of control because your body is taking control. Right? One of the quickest ways to shut down that part of the brain is box breathing. So you breathe in you do it with me, okay? The listeners, while you're listening, you can do this while you drive. We're going to breathe in for 2 seconds. We're going to hold it. To breathe out for 2 seconds and hold it. 2. Now breathe in for 2 seconds and hold it and breathe out. and hold it. And that's box breathing. So box breathing, when you're sitting there and intentionally calming your respiratory rate, it tells your brain nothing's chasing you. So you will still have the initial thing that made you feel anxious. That thing still happened. But your body doesn't dump all those hormones that says now there's a tiger chasing you, right? And so it makes that situation easier to control, easier to get back to your upper brain that helps you solve problems, right? Because that lower brain says, run, right?
Oh my God.
You get that fight or flight from that lower brain, right? Your lower brain takes over that animal brain. And so box breathing can just do it for a few cycles, right? And you can easily say, I got to go to the bathroom. Get out of the situation that's making you anxious, right? Go box breathe. Another thing that you can do very quickly is take a drink of cold water. Your body associates that when you're drinking cold water, you are at the watering hole and nothing's chasing you, right? So you can box breathe, take a big drink of cold water, box breathe, and remind your lower brain that there's nothing scary here. There's nothing our upper brain can't help with, right? But your lower brain can't make everything worse, right? And so if you can just hold that in, everything you want to react to, just hold it in, go take those things, and then just let that upper brain take over, and you'll be able to handle it better.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Smith.
Yeah.
All right. Ask the doctor. You can do this each and every Thursday. Dr. Smith comes in and gives us her time. You can text in your questions. 501-313-0944. You can send them to me via the email, the messenger, whatever, however you need to get it through to me. Go ahead and ask your questions. Dr. Smith has got some TikTok videos out there.
Yeah.
She is quite the star. You can catch her on podcast and just about any way you need to. Now, if you can't wait to hear from Dr. Smith, you can always do it the old-fashioned way. Go to myfirstchoicecare.com, get you a new patient packet, then call the office and set up a appointment.
Yeah. And I will say that if you call and you leave a voicemail, we should be getting back to you. If you're a patient and you've had trouble, then please, get the app. We can set you up for the patient portal. It's really easy. If you can use Facebook on your phone, you can use our app. And so, and it makes it to where you can message our staff directly from your app.
Okay. All righty, guys and gals. It's the Roundtable brought to you by our buddies out at SAU Tech, sautech.edu for more information. St. John's Place in Fordyce, Washington Nursing and Rehab in Camden, the choice for all of your long-term, short-term, and rehabilitation needs. St. John's Place of Arkansas.com, WashingtonNursing.com, First Choice Family Care, MyFirstChoiceCare.com for a new patient packet. 870-800-9002 will get you through to the office. OCMC's CDU, the Chemical Dependency Unit, they're there to help, man. 870-836-1289, 1-800-232-1289. All calls are confidential. Mitch Lowe's Body Shop. Accidents happen. If you put it in the ditch, just call Mitch. 870-837-2560. Everybody's Antiques in El Dorado, corner of Bradley and West Hillsboro. 120 booths, 31,000 square feet. Everybody'santiques.com. Stories Floor and Carpet inviting you to visualize. Upload your photo into the room visualizer and see your options. Stories Floor and Carpet, 2004 Lorraine in El Dorado. Dial 870-862-9446 or visit storiesfloor.com for more info. And by Elite Fitness. Elite Fitness is there to help you with your fitness goals. Located at 1289 West Washington, Elite Fitness is running their New Year special. All sign-up fees for new members is $23. It's normally $50, so better than 50% off. That's going for the rest of January. Sign up in person or online at elitefitnessclub.gymmasteronline.com and a bunch of other stuff. All right, Doc Bryce, what you got?
Glenn Beck in progress.
All right, we got this. Stay tuned.